You're on.
I'm Eric Ortel. We're here at Hanger Prosthetics and Orthotics in Waterford, Michigan, and I'm introducing the WalkAide. The WalkAide is a functional electrical stimulation device that helps to lift the foot by means of really piggybacking on the common peroneal nerve, which is utilizing the process that performs that process, that lift naturally. So that nerve happens to come to the surface of the skin by the outside of the knee at the fibular head here, and so we take advantage of that and find that placement with this handheld mini stim. And this is a pulsating stimulation device, and so we wet the skin and we move around, and knowing the anatomy that that nerve is supposed to be behind the fibular head and wrap around underneath the fibular head, we use that knowledge to pursue eliciting that response of the foot that we're looking for, the dorsiflexion response. So basically what I look for when I first use this is just a lift like this here, and once we find that, that's a really good sign, that's a good indicator that the individual may potentially be a good candidate. And so the next phase then is to apply the unit itself with the electrodes, so you can get a little bit of a different response with the stick-on gel electrodes than with the mini stim. We're engaging more pain sensors, we're engaging more skin. It enters and exits the body a little bit differently than the stainless steel electrodes that are on here. So it's important to try and correlate that experience well from that positive experience to the WalkAide. There can be some frustrations there, but practice and experience can really work through that process, that problem. The other thing that's really interesting is there's definitely a different response from the sitting function of the WalkAide to the walking function of the WalkAide. So all is not lost when we don't get a really good response in sitting. What's really important is to recognize that, yeah, we got a good response from the mini stim, and that then we want to take that extra step and not give up if we don't get a good WalkAide response at this point while you're sitting, to actually stand you and to program the unit and see the function while walking. And that makes a big difference, not to give up too soon like that, because there are some where the response is not very good here, but yet it's phenomenal in walking. So it's an important step to take. Otherwise, we've got the unit set up here already so that it's all prepared and it's functioning well. The unit was designed with simplicity in mind for the user. The users were really in control of the function of the unit at this point once it's programmed. So there's a hand manual stim button to the outside, and so once it's put on and the skin is wet, before we tighten it up, it's designed to move around to find that optimal placement in case you're a little bit off from where you had it the day before, or where I particularly found it, or the fitter. And so then we'd want to hit that unit, to hit that button, to make sure that we've got some response. The other way of doing that is the third button, and that's the one right in the middle, and that's the exercise mode. And if you hold that down for 3 seconds, then it's going to exercise the muscle and cycle it through whatever kind of phase the programmer set it up for. So right now I have it set up for a 15-minute duration, 1 second on, 1 second off, and so that's just what it's going to do. Another important point is to turn down the unit when it's being used for the exercise mode, because typically, not for everybody, but for most people, you need a little bit more stimulation of the device for walking than you need for sitting. When you're relaxed and not firing other muscles, you don't have these other muscles competing against that front tibialis anterior here, that front muscle that's lifting. So you can turn it down, and you're really in control. That's the whole idea behind the knob, is 0 is off and 8 is maximum, and so you're going to work with these numbers to arrive at the appropriate response. And so this right here, even though it's a slight function, it's actually exercising your muscle quite well. And if you wanted greater experience, then you can just turn it up to have more range of motion and more lift. For some people that can be a little bit uncomfortable and they need it a little bit further down, that's fine. That's just fine. But for walking, it's definitely more important to have a bit greater function. So to turn that off, it's just to turn the knob to 0 and then to turn it back on. And then that automatically resets back to the walking mode.